Hey everyone, ready to unlock some serious financial freedom.
Okay.
Today's deep dive is all about passive income, and we're cracking open the power of passive income. Don't work for money, make money work for you. Get ready for some aha moments.
You know what I find fascinating?
What's that?
It's how this book, right off the bat, it throws out that old "how much is in your account" definition of wealth.
Okay.
It's more about the freedom you get
Yeah.
and the fulfillment that comes with really feeling financially secure.
Okay, so less about the zeros on your bank statement and more about the choices that you
Yes,
have, right?
exactly. The book really pushes the difference between, active income trading hours for a paycheck and passive income, which is setting up systems that kind of, earn for you 24/7.
So even while you sleep,
That's the idea.
the money keeps coming in.
Right.
It's like having a money tree that never stops blooming.
Yeah, precisely. It's not about magically getting rich quick, right?
Right.
But it's about shifting your thinking from constantly trading time for money to building assets that can generate income without you constantly having to be involved.
Yeah, it's that whole teach a man to fish thing, but instead of fish,
Right.
it's income.
Yes.
Now, this source also tackles those limiting beliefs many of us have about wealth,
Yeah.
like the one where only workaholics get ahead.
Right. And surprisingly, the book suggests there might be an inverse relationship between backbreaking work and passive income.
Interesting.
The less time you're chained to a desk, the more potential you have to actually create these independent income streams.
It's like comparing a busy factory worker to like a savvy investor.
Uh,
The factory worker might be putting in long hours,
Yeah,
but that investor is setting up systems
Okay.
that generate wealth even when they're not actively working.
exactly. And that's a good point. This book wants us to understand that building wealth through passive income isn't about outworking everyone else.
Yeah.
It's about outsmarting the old rules.
Okay.
It's about working strategically, not just working hard.
It's like setting up a line of dominoes.
Okay. Yeah.
One push at the beginning
Okay.
triggers a chain reaction,
Yeah.
even though you're not pushing each individual domino.
Perfect analogy. Yeah, it's about building those systems that, once they're in motion, they continue to create results without you having to give them constant attention.
Okay, so we need to ditch the money is hard to make mentality.
Yeah.
But what about the belief that only a lucky few
Right.
get to be wealthy?
The book tackles that head on.
Okay.
It reminds us that millions of people have achieved wealth and millions more will. So
Why not us?
why not us, right? It's about replacing that self-doubt with the conviction that, hey, you know what? I can achieve this too if I'm willing to learn and put in the work.
So instead of money is hard, it's more like money is a tool
Yeah.
I can learn to use.
Right.
But even with the right mindset, you need the right tools and strategy.
You do.
Right. And that's where this deep dive gets really interesting.
It does.
Because this book doesn't just talk the talk, it walks us through different paths to passive income, starting with the ever-expanding world of internet businesses.
Of course, yeah.
It's like having a global marketplace at your fingertips,
Mm-hmm.
open 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to know how to navigate it, right?
Absolutely. And that's where the practical advice and the real-life stories in this book come in.
Okay.
For example, it tells the story of an entrepreneur who started out successfully selling photos online.
Okay, a classic side hustle story.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of our listeners can relate to that.
Absolutely. But here's the twist. The book highlights how this entrepreneur eventually hit a wall.
Oh.
Their sales stagnated, they couldn't seem to attract new customers.
Okay, so what went wrong? They had a great product, but something was missing.
And that something is a deep understanding of their target audience,
Yeah.
which the book really stresses is crucial for online success.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
You wouldn't try to sell snowshoes in Hawaii, would you?
Exactly.
You need to know who you're selling to.
Precisely. And this book goes deeper than just basic demographics.
Okay.
It talks about understanding not just who your customer is, but their values, their motivations, even the language they use.
So it's not enough to know, like, their age range or their location.
Hmm.
You need to get inside their heads,
Yes.
understand their passions.
Exactly. And that's where the book introduces this concept of ECB, or expected customer behavior.
Okay, color me intrigued. What is ECB and why does it matter for someone, building an online business?
So, in a nutshell, ECB is all about the expectations, both the customers and the business owners.
Okay.
And the book really stresses that understanding these expectations is really key for creating, a successful online venture.
So like setting the stage for a smooth and enjoyable customer experience right from the first click.
Exactly. And the book even offers some surprising insights based on ECB. For instance, did you know that most online customers won't spend more than $20 on a single purchase through a website if they aren't already familiar with the brand?
Really? That's interesting. I guess it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
People are often hesitant to make big purchases online,
Yeah.
especially from unfamiliar brands.
Right. And the book points out that this actually works in your favor.
Okay.
Because by keeping your prices below that $20 threshold, you might actually see a boost in sales simply because people feel more comfortable taking the leap.
It's like that saying, under-promise and over-deliver.
Yes.
Manage expectations and then wow them with the quality.
Precisely. And that's just one example of how understanding ECB can be a game changer. The book also dives into the importance of things like a seamless checkout experience, clear return policies, even offering free shipping for larger orders.
Basically, making it as easy and risk-free as possible for customers to do business with you.
Exactly. Exactly. And remember, building a successful online business, it does take time and effort.
Sure.
But the source stresses that you don't need to be a tech wizard to make it happen.
Yeah, with all the user-friendly website builders and tools available these days, I mean, creating a professional online presence is more accessible than ever.
Absolutely. But even with a great website, you got to keep things fresh and engaging, right?
Right.
The source really emphasizes consistently updating your site with new content to keep your audience coming back for more.
It's like that old saying, out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
In the online world, you've got to stay top of mind.
You do.
And that means consistently providing value
Yes.
and keeping things interesting.
Absolutely. But let's not forget about another major player in the passive income game,
Okay.
the stock market.
Now, the stock market can seem intimidating, especially for those new to investing.
We can't.
It's like navigating a financial jungle,
Yeah.
full of potential rewards,
Yes.
but also, lurking risks.
Exactly. And this book doesn't sugarcoat the challenges.
Okay.
It acknowledges that the stock market can feel like a giant roller coaster,
Right.
full of unexpected twists and turns.
So how do we avoid getting tossed around like rag dolls and ending up with motion sickness?
That's a great question. This book really emphasizes the importance of having a plan
Yeah.
and sticking to it no matter how wild that ride gets. Just like with a roller coaster, the key to a successful experience is to stay buckled in
Okay.
and try to enjoy the ride, even when it gets a little bumpy.
So no jumping off mid-ride,
Yeah.
even if things start to feel a little scary.
Exactly. The source points out that one of the biggest mistakes investors make is letting their emotions dictate their decisions.
Oh, for sure.
Fear and greed
Yeah.
can lead to those impulsive moves that often result in losses.
It's like that saying, buy low, sell high.
Right.
Sounds simple enough, but when you're caught up in the heat of the moment,
Yes,
it's easy to do the exact opposite.
you got it. The source highlights the dangers of relying on hype, following the latest trends, or getting sucked into what it calls the brother-in-law strategy.
The brother-in-law strategy, what's that all about?
You know, that all too familiar scenario where you get an inside tip from a well-meaning but not necessarily financially savvy
Right.
relative at a family gathering.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. It usually starts with, hey, I heard this stock is about to take off.
Right. And while it's great that your brother-in-law is thinking of you,
Yeah.
the book reminds us to be wary of this type of anecdotal advice.
It's like trying to pick a winning lottery ticket based on a dream.
Exactly.
It might work out,
Right.
but the odds aren't exactly in your favor.
Exactly. The book encourages us to base our investment decisions on careful research, a clear strategy, and a long-term perspective,
Yeah.
not just, hearsay and rumors.
So less gambling, more strategizing.
Mm.
This book also talks about the influence of what it calls elephants on the stock market.
Right. Those are the institutional investors, the big players like pension funds, mutual funds, and insurance companies. They make such huge moves in the market that they can really shake things up.
Okay, so it's like trying to swim alongside a pod of whales. You need to be aware of their movements
Yes.
and avoid getting caught in their wake.
Exactly. That's why the book suggests that for many investors, particularly those looking for passive income investing in a well-established mutual fund,
Okay.
can be a much smarter approach than trying to outmaneuver the elephants.
So instead of trying to beat the pros at their own game,
Right.
why not join their team?
Exactly. With a mutual fund, you're benefiting from the expertise of professional fund managers who are making those investment decisions on behalf of all the investors in that fund. Plus, mutual funds give you instant diversification,
Right.
which can really help reduce risk.
It's like pooling your resources with a group of experienced hikers. You might not be leading the expedition, but you're increasing your chances of reaching the summit safely.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
I try. So speaking of expeditions, this book makes an interesting comparison between trying to predict the weather
Okay.
versus understanding long-term climate patterns.
Okay.
I'm hooked. How do weather and climate relate to the stock market?
Well, just like the weather, the stock market can be incredibly unpredictable in the short term.
Right.
You can't control or anticipate every fluctuation.
It's like trying to predict if it's going to rain 5 minutes from now based on a few scattered clouds.
Exactly. But just as we can understand broader climate patterns, like knowing that summers are generally hotter than winters, we can also identify long-term trends in the market.
So while we might not be able to predict which way a stock will jump tomorrow,
Yeah.
we can make more informed decisions based on, its history, the overall health of the company, and the long-term outlook for the industry that it operates in.
Exactly. And that's why this book emphasizes the importance of taking a long-term perspective with your stock market investing, especially for those seeking passive income.
So patience is key.
Yes.
It's about being in it for the long haul, not just looking for a quick buck.
Absolutely. And this long-term approach kind of ties into another concept. The book explores dividend investing.
Okay, dividends. Isn't that where companies kind of share their profits with their shareholders?
Precisely. It's like owning a piece of a fruit tree. Every season, you get to enjoy some of the fruit it produces.
So not only can the value of your investment grow over time, but you're also receiving this steady stream of income from the shares you own. What's not to like?
Well, the book does caution against getting too caught up in what's called chasing the highest dividend yields.
Meaning?
Just because a company offers a high dividend yield doesn't necessarily mean it's a good long-term investment.
Gotcha.
You need to make sure the company is financially sound and that it has a sustainable business model.
So it's about finding that balance between chasing yield
Yes.
and investing in companies with, solid growth potential.
You've got it. It's not just about the size of the dividend check, but the overall health and prospects of the company.
This book really emphasizes being strategic and doing your research.
It does.
No get-rich-quick schemes here.
Exactly. Successful stock market investing is about developing your own strategy based on your goals and your risk tolerance.
So it's about becoming an informed and empowered investor,
Yes.
not just blindly following the crowd. Now, let's move on to another avenue for building passive income that this book explores. Real estate.
Real estate. It's always been a popular path to wealth.
Yeah.
And I think what I appreciate about this book is it provides these really insightful stories from successful real estate investors who've actually started with very limited capital.
Oh.
It's inspiring to see how they built these impressive portfolios through smart decision-making.
So you don't need to be a millionaire to get started in real estate. That's encouraging.
Right. The book really emphasizes starting small, gradually building your portfolio, and understanding the power of leverage.
Leverage, isn't that using borrowed money to amplify potential returns?
That's the gist of it, yeah. The book gives a great example. Imagine buying, let's say, a $100,000 property with a $20,000 down payment.
Yep.
You're essentially controlling a $100,000 asset.
Yeah.
Wow.
With only $20,000 of your own money.
And if that property increases in value, you benefit from the gain on the entire amount, not just your initial investment.
Exactly. And not only can the property appreciate in value over time, but you also have the potential to generate cash flow from rental income.
So you're building equity and potentially generating passive income at the same time. Now, that's what I call a win-win.
Precisely. And the source points out that real estate can be a really good hedge against inflation, too.
Because as the cost of living goes up, so do those rental rates.
You got it. But just like with stock market investing, the book stresses the importance of being strategic and patient with real estate.
Okay.
Don't rush into anything based solely on speculation or hype.
So no flipping out over house flipping.
Right. The book advocates for a more measured approach.
Okay.
Focus on finding good properties in solid locations. Properties that have that potential for long-term appreciation and consistent rental income.
It's about being a savvy investor,
Yeah.
not a gambler. Absolutely. And the book offers some great practical tips for finding those hidden gem properties like tapping into the multiple listing service or MLS.
The MLS, isn't that what real estate agents use?
It is, but it can be a treasure trove of information for investors as well. The book even suggests that focusing on properties listed as handyman specials or fixer-uppers can be a really good strategy for uncovering undervalued property.
Makes sense. One person's needs TLC is another person's diamond in the rough.
Exactly. Another tip from the source is leveraging direct mail campaigns targeted at real estate agents.
So being proactive, reaching out directly to agents who might have those potential investment properties before they even hit the market.
You got it. But the book also reminds us that building a successful real estate portfolio,
Yeah,
it does take time and effort.
it's a marathon, not a sprint. Speaking of which, let's shift gears and talk about a different kind of asset, intellectual property.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. And you might be surprised to learn just how much potential you have to generate passive income from your own ideas and creations.
I'm all ears. Tell me more.
Well, this book uses this really interesting example of a translator who earns royalties by translating works that are in the public domain.
So they're translating like classic novels
Right.
that are no longer protected by copyright.
Right, exactly. The original works might be in the public domain, but their unique translation is protected,
Oh,
meaning they can earn money every time it's used or published.
that's incredibly clever. It's breathing new life into those old classics while also generating passive income. It's like turning your love for language into a money-making venture.
Exactly. And the book stresses that intellectual property goes way beyond just books and music, right?
Okay.
It includes designs, inventions, business systems, even unique ways of doing things.
Okay, so basically, if you've got a great idea, there's a good chance you can find a way to monetize it.
You got it. The book encourages us to really think about what are the skills, the knowledge, the creative ideas that we possess that might have some licensing potential.
It's about recognizing that hidden value in what we already know and do.
Exactly. For example, the book tells the story of a landscape architect
Right.
who, in addition to their design fee, negotiates a licensing agreement for an office park.
So they're not just getting paid for their initial design work, but they're also getting a cut of the action
Exactly.
every time their design is used.
Precisely. It's about thinking long-term and making sure you're being compensated for the ongoing value of your intellectual property.
And this book stresses that protecting your intellectual property is even more crucial in the digital age.
Absolutely. With more and more content being shared online, the opportunities for licensing your work have skyrocketed, whether it's music, photography, software, designs, even online courses.
It's like having a global marketplace for your creativity, open 24/7.
Exactly. The book even suggests that something as simple as buying a domain name and building a website or blog can be a great way to start creating a platform for your intellectual property.
So you're planting those seeds for potential passive income opportunities
Yes.
down the line by establishing your online presence
Right.
and showcasing your expertise.
Precisely. Now, speaking of platforms and opportunities, let's explore another avenue for building passive income: franchising.
Franchising. Now, we're talking about those big-name brands you see everywhere, like
Yeah.
McDonald's and Starbucks.
Right. Franchising is a really powerful business model, and this book uses the story of Ray Kroc and the McDonald's empire as a prime example
Right.
of how franchising can create incredible wealth, both for the franchisor and the franchisee.
It's a classic example of taking a simple, replicable business model
Right.
and turning it into this global phenomenon.
Exactly. And while we often hear about franchising from the franchisee's point of view,
Right.
this book kind of encourages us to look at it from the franchisor's side.
Because that's where the real passive income potential lies.
Exactly. Essentially, franchising is a contract where the franchisor licenses their name, trademark, and their way of doing business to a franchisee.
So it's like handing someone a blueprint for success. They get to operate a business using your established system and that brand recognition.
Right. And in return, the franchisor typically receives recurring payments from the franchisee, often in the form of royalties or fees.
It's like having a network of mini businesses,
Yes.
all operating under your umbrella and
Yeah.
generating income.
Precisely. But this book doesn't just paint this rosy picture. It also stresses that franchising is not for every business.
Okay.
It takes a special kind of business model to be franchisable.
So what are the key ingredients for a successful franchise? What should someone be looking for?
The book outlines 4 crucial elements. first and foremost, credibility.
Okay.
Franchisees need to believe in that business model. They need to see that it's successful and that they can replicate that success.
It's about having a proven track record and a strong brand reputation.
Exactly. Second, uniqueness. Your business needs a clear edge over the competition.
Okay.
Whether that's a unique product, a superior service, or even an irresistible brand story, there needs to be something special that sets you apart.
Something that makes you stand out from the crowd.
You got it. Third, a systematized approach. Your business model and your operations need to be easy to learn, easy to teach, and easy to replicate. Franchisees need to be able to get up and running smoothly and efficiently.
It's like handing them a well-oiled machine ready to go.
Exactly. And fourth, adaptability. A successful franchise concept needs to be flexible enough to thrive in different locations, different markets. It can't be limited to just a specific geographic area or customer base.
It's about having a business model that can travel well and appeal to a wide range of customers.
Yes.
So you've got your incredible business idea. You've ticked all the boxes in terms of credibility, uniqueness, systematization, and adaptability. You're good to go, right? Just sit back and watch the money roll in.
Not so fast.
Oh, there's more.
The book does emphasize that even if you meet all of those criteria, franchising is not a completely hands-off approach to passive income.
You can't just set it and forget it.
Not quite. While it can certainly generate passive income, you still need to be actively involved in supporting your franchisees.
Okay.
Making sure they're maintaining those brand standards and just providing them with, ongoing training and guidance.
So it's like being the conductor of an orchestra.
Yeah.
You're not playing every instrument, but you're responsible for making sure everyone's in sync and
Yes.
hitting the right notes.
Exactly. The book highlights the importance of having a strong team in place, people who really understand your business and can help you manage the complexities of a growing franchise network.
It's about building a strong foundation
Yes.
and surrounding yourself with those capable people.
Absolutely. And having a very clear, comprehensive operations manual is absolutely essential.
That way, franchisees have that step-by-step guide to follow,
Yeah.
ensuring consistency and quality across the board.
Right. And the book even points out that creating this type of manual can actually be beneficial even if you're not planning to franchise,
Oh, interesting.
because it forces you to systematize your business,
Right.
which can often lead to increased efficiency.
It's like fine-tuning your business engine for optimal performance.
Exactly. And ultimately, the book reminds us that the success of a franchise really boils down to the success of each individual franchisee.
Because their success is your success.
Right.
Now, let's talk about the legacy we build with the wealth we create,
Okay.
whether that's through passive income or more traditional means.
Legacy, it's a powerful word.
Yeah.
And this book doesn't shy away from the bigger picture. It even dives into different perspectives on inheritance,
Okay.
including Warren Buffett's very intriguing stance.
Oh, you mean the Oracle of Omaha himself?
The one and only. He's famously said that wealthy parents should leave their children enough money to do anything, but not enough to do nothing.
So it's about giving them a head start, but not so much that they lose their drive or their sense of purpose.
Exactly. Buffett really believes that inheriting excessive wealth can sometimes be more of a curse than a blessing,
Right.
potentially leading to a sense of entitlement or even a lack of ambition.
It's about teaching them to fish,
Right.
not just handing them a lifetime supply.
Right. And in line with his philosophy, Buffett has pledged to donate a significant portion of his wealth to charitable causes
Yep.
rather than leaving it all to his heirs.
So it's not just about passing on wealth to your family, but also about using that wealth to make a positive impact on the world.
Exactly. And whether you plan to leave a legacy to your family, to charity, or a combination of both,
Yeah.
the book stresses the importance of careful estate planning.
Because without a proper plan in place, things can get messy.
They can.
And your hard-earned wealth might not end up where you want it to go.
Exactly. The book emphasizes the importance of really consulting with, legal and financial professionals.
Right. To make sure you're creating a really comprehensive plan that reflects your wishes and protects your assets.
It's about taking control of your legacy and making sure that your hard-earned wealth is distributed according to your wishes. Now, this book doesn't just focus on the technical aspects of estate planning.
Right.
It also touches on those often overlooked emotional and psychological components as well.
Because it's not just about the money itself, but the values, the stories, the life lessons that we pass on.
Yeah, it's about having those sometimes difficult conversations with loved ones about your finances and your vision for the future.
Exactly. Transparency and open communication are key. Now, as we continue our deep dive into the world of passive income,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that financial freedom is about so much more than just building wealth.
Right.
It's about designing a life that truly reflects your values.
Yeah. And your dreams. It's about aligning your financial goals with your personal values, to create a life of purpose and meaning. And speaking of aligning goals, this book dives into a topic that often sparks a lot of debate.
Right?
Multi-level marketing,
MLM.
or MLM.
Yeah.
It's a business model that, some people just rave about,
Right.
while others, approach with extreme caution.
Yeah. MLM definitely has a mixed reputation.
It does.
Some people see it as this fantastic opportunity, while others,
Yeah.
see a lot of red flags. So how do we separate those legitimate opportunities from the potential pitfalls?
Well, this book actually does a great job, I think, of presenting a balanced perspective.
Okay.
It starts by comparing MLM to those old school chain letters. Remember those?
Oh, how could I forget?
Yeah.
Send $1 to the name at the top of the list, add your name to the bottom, and wait for that cash to rain down.
Right, exactly.
Spoiler alert.
Exactly.
It never quite worked out the way.
And the book explains why those chain letters ultimately fail, right?
Okay.
They depend on endlessly recruiting new people,
Right.
which is simply unsustainable.
Yeah.
Eventually, you run out of willing participants.
It's like a game of musical chairs where there are never enough chairs to go around.
Perfect analogy. And the book points out that some MLM structures can really resemble this unsustainable model.
Oh.
Where the emphasis is more on recruitment
Right.
than on actually selling real products or services.
So it's crucial to look beyond the hype and really examine that compensation structure. If it feels like you're earning more from recruiting than from actual sales, that's a major red flag.
Absolutely. This book highlights some other warning signs to watch out for as well.
Okay.
Are you being pressured to buy these expensive starter kits or inventory?
Right.
Are the income claims realistic, or are they based on just the success stories of, a tiny fraction of top earners? Remember, if it looks like a pyramid scheme and acts like a pyramid scheme,
It probably is a pyramid scheme.
Exactly.
But it's important to note that not all MLMs are created equal. This book acknowledges that there are legitimate MLMs out there.
there are
Companies with solid products and ethical business practices.
Absolutely. The key is to do your homework.
Right.
Thoroughly research any MLM you're considering.
Yeah.
Talk to people who've actually had experience with it.
Right.
And don't be afraid to walk away if something doesn't feel right.
Trust your gut.
Yeah.
And speaking of, leveraging your skills and knowledge to generate income, let's talk about licensing.
Okay.
It's a topic that's often overlooked, but can be a really powerful way to create that passive income.
It's like renting out your intellectual property.
Okay.
You give someone permission to use your creation
Right.
or your idea in exchange for a fee or royalties.
Okay, so instead of actively working,
Yes.
you're letting your ideas do the work for you. That's working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And with the rise of digital platforms and these online marketplaces, the opportunities for licensing have just exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, you can license almost anything these days. Music, photography, software, designs, even online courses.
It's like having this 24/7 global storefront for your creativity.
It is.
But navigating the world of licensing can feel a bit overwhelming. Where do you even start?
Well, this book encourages us to start by taking stock of our own intellectual property. What skills, what knowledge, what creations do we have that others might find valuable? And once you identify those assets, then you can start exploring potential licensing opportunities.
So whether you're a musician with a catchy tune, a photographer with a stunning portfolio, or an entrepreneur with a brilliant business system, there's a good chance you've got something that can be licensed.
Exactly. And the beauty of licensing is it allows you to generate that income without having to handle all the daily grind of actually running a business.
Right.
You create that asset once, and it can potentially generate income for years to come.
Talk about a gift that keeps on giving. Now, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of passive income, I think it's important to remember that it's about so much more than just accumulating wealth. It's about creating a life of freedom and fulfillment.
I couldn't agree more. The true power of passive income is its potential to free us from the constraints of, a traditional 9-to-5 job, allowing us to really live life on our own terms.
To spend more time with loved ones, to chase our passions, to make a difference in the world.
Precisely. It's about aligning those financial goals with your values and your aspirations to create a life that is both prosperous and fulfilling.
And the best part is, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to passive income.
Right.
The key is to find what works best for you,
Yes,
your skills, your interests, your goals.
exactly. Whether you dream of launching an online empire, building a real estate portfolio, or simply, generating enough passive income to escape that 9 to 5 grind, it all starts with a vision.
And the courage to take action. As we've learned from this deep dive, the path to financial freedom, it might not always be easy,
Right.
but it's an adventure worth embarking on.
It is. And remember that most important step is to define what wealth and happiness mean to you.
Yes.
And then you can chart a course that truly aligns with those values and aspirations.
So there you have it, folks. We hope this deep dive has sparked your imagination and empowered you to explore this incredible world of passive income.
Remember, the journey to financial freedom is a personal one. We're here to cheer you on every step of the way.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep dreaming big.